why they should make a point to come out here and check it out?
Well, yes. So it's dark. No, it's you come in, you sit down, and we turn the lights down. But then you look up on the dome, and we just science them basically. But in a very fun, fun and entertaining way. But we take people on journeys through different aspects of astronomy and the cosmos.
Have you been craving an adventure that goes beyond the typical tourist experience? What if you can truly connect with the destination, unearth its hidden stories, and meet the people who make it tick? The ONSC podcast offers you exactly that.
This isn't just a travel podcast. It's an invitation to connect with a place on a deeper level.
I'm Colby Gonsalves.
I'm Jessica Pickering.
And I'm Karen Applin.
And this is the ONSC podcast.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of the ONSC podcast. Today, we are at the Emil Buehler Planetarium at the Seminole State College in Sanford with the director of the planetarium, Derek Demeter.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out.
Of course, thank you.
And you picked the slowest day of the year, our first day of classes.
You leave it to us to make it very convenient for you. So, you've been on the podcast before, but it was a long time ago. It was like almost
at least
COVID
1,000 years ago.
Yeah, 100% definitely was. For people who may not know about the planetarium or what you guys do, tell us a little bit about the planetarium and also your job.
Yeah, so a planetarium, so a lot of people mistaken a planetarium from an observatory. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go in there and look through the telescope. And I'm like, well, the planetarium is a virtual reality experience. It's the simulation of the night, not just the night sky, but just science visualization. So we can, back in the day, old school planetariums were mainly just you had a star projector in the middle and you would render the night sky and it's all its amazing beauty. But now we can travel, we can leave Earth, we can travel to different areas of the universe, we can go underwater, we can travel in time and look at ancient sites. So it becomes this, what I call shared reality experience. So as a group, you get in and you have this immersive educational experience.
So tell us what you do specifically.
So my title is Director of the Planetarium here. So I'm the one that kind of sets the vision of the program manager, if you will. I create and design all the shows. I present programs to school groups. I also help teach college courses here. Also I go out to all over the country and the world to give programs about science, astronomy. Basically, encouraging people to get excited about space. So basically when it comes to the planetarium and all the stuff that we do here, I'm kind of the person that runs all that.
You're the guy in charge.
Yes, the space man.
The space man, or as Colby calls you, the rocket man.
The rocket man, there you go, that's right.
Planetarium has been in Central Florida for 25 years?
Since 1987, whatever that date equates to.
Yeah, math.
It's a long time.
So what are some of the more memorable moments that you've had in the planetarium since you've been the director?
Oh boy. Fun fact, we did a program years ago called Where's the Science? And it was a talk show style thing. So my buddy who worked with me at the planetarium at the time, he was the talk show host, kind of like a Jimmy Fallon or something like that. And I was this wild scientist character called Dr. Demetrius Deuteron. And we would banter about all the stuff like the moon landing hoax and life on Mars and flat Earth and all that stuff. And it was just a fun thing because it was almost like presented in a way of like, well, you're like a live studio audience and we were doing this talk show kind of thing.
That's really cool.
And that was a lot of fun. One of my favorite activities always is our Halloween event. But back in the day, when we had a little bit more time on our hands, we had this program called the Alpharat School of Science and Spooks. There's a star in the sky in the fall called Alpharats, but we have a twist on it because we had the owls from the Avian Reconditioning Center come out and we called the Owl Rats. But we, faculty here and students also dressed up as characters. It was basically like a Harry Potter meets Monster High meets science school or whatever. So we dressed in costumes and we toned it down, but we still do an event called the Spooky Star Party, which has its kind of these elements to it, but in a more scaled down version. but that is like one of I love doing that stuff. And we've had viewings of eclipses, and we have other shows that we do. I mean, there's just so much. It's hard to kind of pick one.
Yeah,
but
I get it. It's like your baby. It's like, which one's your favorite child? So for anybody who has never visited the planetarium, can you explain what the experience is like and like why they should make a point to come out here and check it out?
Well, yes. So it's dark. No, it's you come in, you sit down, and we turn the lights down. But then you look up on the dome, and we just science them basically. But in a very fun, fun and entertaining way. But we take people on journeys through different aspects of astronomy and the cosmos. And all of our shows are done live, interactive. So I'm the one presenting the show, or my new assistant who is working with me now. We just had him on board last year. But together we host these shows live. It's an experience. It's not just you sit in a chair, you watch a movie for 30 minutes, and you get out of here.
Right.
This is a really enriching, fun experience. You get to interact with us at the end of the show, and we get to take out the telescopes. We do have telescopes. We show you the night sky if it's clear outside. So this is just an enriching experience to come out and enjoy it. So and the shows are different themes. We have shows about the night sky, but we have shows about exploring the solar system.
What do you think would be, like, if you had to choose one, and again, I know this is really hard, if you had to choose one of your like shows or like programming that people who are not from this area should check out, what do you think that would be?
So one of the most run show that we do for the public is Central Florida Nights, and that is our most popular. For example, we have a sold out show coming up this weekend. And it's a very popular program because people want to learn about the night sky. So we give them that kind of what's up in the night sky. We talk about places you can go in the state of Florida to see the night sky. And then we have the telescope. So it's a nice full experience. You come in here for about an hour, learn about the night sky. We talk about the highlights of the sky. So afterwards you can go outside yourself and continue that journey for yourself, and then also get to look through the telescopes. Another one of my favorite shows is Earth's Neighborhood, Cruising the Solar System, because it's always changing. We visit the planets, we learn about what's going on new. But some of the shows I'm working on right now, because we just got our new system in, are these choose your own adventure style shows where, let's go somewhere in the universe, and this week we'll let you choose these different areas. So each time you come back to the planetarium, we're visiting different things.
That's really cool.
So it gives people that kind of repeatability.
Where in Seminole County would you say is like the best place to view the stars? Like, even if you don't have a telescope, like if people are just wanting to experience that.
Yeah,
public place, like people aren't like
unfortunately, a lot of the parks in Seminole County are closed at night, but we do partner with the Seminole County Lands to do events with Lake Harney.
Yeah.
And that is actually one of the darker areas, and so we do those twice a year. We do one in the fall and one in the spring.
Very cool.
So we actually have one coming up here in in the spring, but the next one usually do like November, December. So usually November, December, and like February, March is kind of those 2 times a year we do it. It's great, but Mullet Lake Park is open 24 hours, and it's very close by to Lake Harney, and that's where I would recommend going.
So can you tell us about the Central Florida Astronomical Society and how that connects with the planetariums?
Yeah, so that's actually a good segue, because back to your other question you just gave me about the dark skies, being a member of the Central Florida Astronomical Society gives you opportunities to do things that you can't do elsewhere. So for example, let me go back to CFAS. So the Central Florida Astronomical Society is an organization we've been together for so many years. In fact, I was a member when I was 13.
Oh, wow.
And we met here in this facility, and that really was my Kickstarter to kind of really get me into astronomy. And it's a organization of both amateur astronomers, people who are hobbyists, and there are in professional astronomers like myself. So we work together and we do all these different events. We also have meetings where we have speakers. Mm-hmm. We have virtual meetings and in-person meetings, which meet here at the planetarium.
Very cool.
We also have a loaner telescope program. So if you're interested in learning how to use a telescope, we have a whole armada of telescopes that you can check out. But again, when you were mentioning about the dark sky, the college has a campus at Geneva. It's our public safety training facility. Mm-hmm. And we actually have a partnership with CFAS to use that as our observing location, our dark sky location.
Very
So if
cool.
you're a member of CFAS, we have these nights every month where you can go out to a safe environment that is used for astronomy. So that's another perk. So if you join and you're like, I want to, we have meteor showers, or we have, dark sky nights when the moon's not up, we go there. And that's
cool.
the place I would highly, when you asked me that question, I'm like, well, I want to say Geneva, but that's not open for just anybody. But if
Yeah.
you're a member of the Central Florida Astronomical Society, you get access to that location.
What's a myth or misconception that you love to debunk when you are educating your audience?
There's a lot of them, but of course, the one that a lot of people, for some reason, are catching up in these days is the flat Earth thing. And when you I think we were talking about this before the interview. I had a gentleman he was a really staunch flat. I mean, he literally was drinking the flat Earth, the tea, yeah. And he looked through the telescope, saw Saturn, saw the fact that it was curved, and then looked at the moon, and he was like, I am no longer a flat earther. Like, he just had this breakdown, if you will,
Epiphany,
and his
yeah.
epiphany, the eureka moment, whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
And that was enough to get him to decide that was not the case. So
Wow.
the power of showing people things. They read these things online, but when they see it with their eyes, when they come out here and they learn about, and we talk about even the simplest basic understandings of astronomy, just those click moments, just those clicking moments. And I think, I don't focus heavily on debunking things, but it's nice to be able to provide a resource for
Yeah.
people that all of a sudden have those
So
moments.
they can come to their own
Because most people
conclusion,
will
yeah.
decide those things on themselves. You cannot, I as I gotten older, I no longer like to be part of those debates and stuff. Because
Yeah.
in reality, you can tell them for their entire lives, but if they don't want to have the ability to see it for themselves,
100%.
they're not going to change their mind. But
Yeah.
if we can at least here in the planetarium or outside with our telescopes, give them those clicking moments, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
So that's what I like to focus on.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I do have a question, but I'll ask this last because I feel like it kind of reminded me. We'll come back to it. Pause for dramatic effect. Okay, so Central Florida is known for its tie to space exploration, especially with Kennedy Space Center, so close. How does the planetarium highlight the region's importance in space science?
So one of the things that comes to mind is that we have a lot of our bread and butter here at the planetarium are school field trips. We bring in lots and lots of field trips. A lot of the Seminole County Public Schools coming through here. We also bring in schools from all other counties, but of course, so fourth grade curriculum actually talks about the space program. So we show them, we take them on a virtual trip to the Space Center. We go through the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building. We get them the chance to come up close to a rocket, and then and so we get a chance to expose them on that. But the other thing too is that we have rocket launches all the time here. So when we do an event, if there's a rocket launch, we stop and we watch it, which is really cool. We actually saw the Europa Clipper mission happen here, and we got a bunch of students watch it here at the campus.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the other thing too is that, at least here at the college, one of the things I'm trying to work on with our students is a program that they can join, and we actually can take them out to the Cape, get in touch with the engineers and the scientists that are working out there, get these students exposed. And here's the thing, there's a lot of friends of mine that started here at Seminole County that now work for Cape, and you're not that far away, so people still live here and they just commute.
Yeah.
But we're being so close, we can be that workforce initiative. One of the things that the college focuses on is workforce training. What better way to have a place like this to get people exposed? Because this is the future. We're going to have more. The new companies are coming in: Blue Origin, SpaceX, NASA. There's other smaller organizations like Sierra Nevada and others that are starting to grow into this area, and this becomes a spaceport, if you will.
Yeah.
So we're going to need people, and this is our place to do that. We could be that workforce training, get students exposed. But also, just from a visitor standpoint, I actually had somebody call me up saying we want to go to the Space Center, but there's no planetarium there, and we saw you, and you're not very far away. So we're having people that are coming here specifically for the Space Center, but then realizing, hey, we also know that there were Sanford. There's cool restaurants in Sanford.
Yeah.
There's this. So we get that all the time. We'll tell people, like, you know, they'll do a day trip over here.
So what's one of the coolest facts about space that you think people should know? I know that's like, again,
these are
like,
so many, like, oh my
really
God, my
hard
brain.
questions.
You know, it's kind of interesting because I actually find wow moments in things that are a little bit closer to Earth. For example, I like to talk about this. People love the solar system. I like to talk about the sizes because people don't, you know, the whole Pluto thing was a whole, you know, and we can go into that.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah, exactly. But like, for example, the rings of Saturn. If you had the rings of Saturn and you placed the Earth on one side, the moon would be on the other. That's the distance of the rings. Wow. So people know, they've seen astronauts go to the moon. And then the planet Mars is about, you could literally fit the entire continent of Asia around Mars.
Wow.
The United States could fit around the moon. Alaska could fit around Pluto.
That's so small.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So see, now immediately it clicks in your brain. You now have a vision. So when I teach people, I don't go into miles and I think about it in terms of that. So I like those kind of cool space facts.
No, I do
because
too.
The reaction that you just gave me was a genuine, like, oh yeah, I get it why they call it tiny.
I never even thought about that.
Exactly.
You're right though.
Here's another fun fact. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The moons of Mars, Phobos and Deimos, could fit inside Seminole County, both of them.
Wow.
Now Deimos. Now, this is for some of you that are not familiar with Seminole County watching this, you might not get it, but come to Seminole County and learn about it. If you traveled around the circumference of Deimos, it's like going from here at Seminole State College to the Altamont Mall.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's one moon of Mars.
That's
But
wild.
see, doesn't that make you already immediately go,
yeah,
these are tiny little dinky moons.
So small. Yeah, I feel like you think they're in space and they're just like
huge,
yeah, but I guess not.
There you go.
That's
so
wild.
So that gives you kind of
fact.
another thing. So I like teaching people about that kind of stuff that they can relate to.
Yeah, that's how I like to learn.
And then if I go up to Ocala or if I go to other places, I try to look at their geography and try to relate it to them.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to be able to like
really
calculate
cool.
these just so they go like, oh wow, that was.
Because I feel like you can, like, if you're just like, oh, it's X amount of miles, like you're just spewing numbers and people can't like relate that.
And that to me is what I find interesting, is to get people to really get excited about that kind of stuff.
Incredible. Okay, so looking at the future of space exploration, what are you most excited about and why?
Space exploration. So I'm going to say two. I'm going to say human exploration and uncrewed, or in this case, robotic space. Because really, most of the science that's happening in our understanding of the universe is done by robots or satellites, or uncrewed experiences. So one thing I'm excited about that just recently launched was the Europa Clipper. And because one of the biggest questions that everybody always asks is there life elsewhere in the universe? Europa Clipper is going to go to this little moon around Jupiter and look for areas where there might be water or liquid water, and eventually will lead us to sending something else in the future that will land there, survey, maybe possibly find life on another world. Wow. So that's exciting to me. But also, Artemis is going to be amazing. We're going to eventually have humans back on the moon. But of course, it's going to lead us to Mars. So I think just the human discovery of continuing on. Yeah. And people ask me all the time about this. Why do we care? I'm going to add an extra element to this. Is why do we care about going to space? The technologies that we did during the Apollo missions, microchips, the cordless tools, all that was developed by NASA. When it comes to Mars, we're going to need to develop new technologies like storing battery power. We're going to need to figure out filtration systems. We're going to need to develop new ways of dealing with medical issues. All this technology will then trickle down to the people on Earth. It gives us kind of a push. Humans need a push to build new technologies, and this is one of those things.
Looking for real adventures in Central Florida that you don't have to wait 4 hours in line for? Do Orlando North.
Explore the magic of nature that the theme parks just can't touch with the ONSC podcast.
close this off with aliens.
All right.
So have you ever seen like a UAP, UFO, whatever the kids are calling it?
So and I have not found anything that I cannot eventually identify. So there was a situation. I was in Utah last year with my friend, and we saw these bright lights off in the distance, and they were lighting up, lighting down. They were moving around. But when I got my binoculars, there were fighter jets, afterburners going off, and they were moving around.
Yeah,
and exactly. And you know, it was actually kind of funny. I was talking to my friend about this yesterday at the astronomy event. And I give people, here's my 3 categories of like, make a really authentic alien experience. First off, if you are abducted by aliens, grab something from the spacecraft that we can test here on Earth in the middle. All right. Number 2, why are there no people with professional cameras getting these footage? Why is it always people with smartphones?
Facts.
All right, like we have.
But do you think that it's like the people who are like surveying the internet and they're like, ooh, make it like?
I don't know. Look. In this day and age, everybody has. I mean, look. I'm saying like, there's got to be one person with a drone flying around. There's got to be somebody with a telephoto lens that can get a really authentic, really close-up image of this thing. And not a single person that I'm friends with that's an astronomer, and we spend a lot of time looking at the night sky and the sky. None of us have seen anything that freaks us out.
Interesting.
So I'm not saying they don't. I'm going to pull that. No, say it's aliens, but it's aliens thing. But you know, I want to believe. Like I tell people all the time. I'm like, I am the first to like shake hands with or whatever, you know, fist bump with an alien. Like, I want that so much. I want to believe. I'm like, my wife and I did did the extraterrestrial highway in Nevada. I am so into aliens. I love aliens. I love movies with UFOs. I love like, I am into it.
Yeah.
But I haven't found anything that makes me go, that's an alien.
That makes sense. That makes sense. If like, what do you think
I'm not discrediting aliens.
Yeah. What do you think they would like look like, or does it matter? Does it depend on like where they come from?
It depends on where they come from. They're not going to look. They're just not going to look like Spock. They're not going to have. Not going to look at humans. They're definitely going to.
What about like Star Wars? Like, is that like?
I mean, that could be possible. I think it's just the conditions they're in, and all that. The other thing, that's something that I always talk about with space in the sci-fi science show, is that Earth, we have adapted on Earth with the type of air, the gravity, all that. If we find another planet that might be 5% more oxygen, that could be lethal for us. That's why, like, I love the movie Avatar, not like the last, but the James Cameron, because he has they wear those masks, because the moon Pandora is very Earth-like, but there's still more oxygen, so they have to reduce it to stay alive. And that, of course, allows the Na'vi to be tall because of the extra oxygen. And that's actually, there are periods in Earth's history where we had more oxygen. That's why animals got bigger. So right now we have less oxygen in our atmosphere.
So I need more oxygen?
It's right. But I need more oxygen. I want to become but no, there's I love that, because that's actually a lot of scientifically things. So yeah, really cool. But here's the thing: the same thing goes with an alien. If an alien came to Earth and they're not used to our gravity, they might, like have you ever seen the blobfish?
Yes.
So the blobfish looks like an actual fish at depth.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the surface, it looks like a blob because of the lack of pressure.
I had no idea.
So it's the same thing with aliens.
What do they actually look like?
They look like a fish. You type in blobfish at pressure, they look like a normal fish, but because of the pressure on the fish allows their body to retain that. But the problem is, with lack of pressure, it just becomes jelly. So the aliens could be under a different pressure, and they might come to Earth and they're all like blobby, and they got to wear like suits to keep their body. So there's a lot of you can go real. This is an iceberg thing.
Yeah.
You can go deep. You can do a whole series on the iceberg of aliens.
Maybe we need to do like a part 2 on like aliens.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a lot of cool things, and I love that too. I'm one of those, unusual people that start like. Have you seen those memes where it's like the woman's like, I bet you he's like thinking of other women, and like the guy, and I'm that guy who's like, what would aliens be like if they're? I'm that guy that's like always thinking of these weird things, So
that's amazing. Well, Derek, this has been so great. Always educational, always so cool. I love everything about space, and I feel like you were the coolest guy to talk to about it. So if you guys have questions about space, want to explore, we have this amazing planetarium right here in Sanford, Seminole County. Come see Derek. Do you want to leave our audience with anything, like a final?
Yeah, all our information's on our website, seminolestate.edu/planet, or just Google Planetarium Seminole County, and we'll be there, or Planetarium Orlando, whatever you want to,
Awesome.
What's
your Instagram handle?
Seminole Planet. Actually, all of Instagram, Facebook, Seminole Planet, just come and join us sometime.
Excellent.
Or
all the time. Awesome. And make sure to follow us at Do Orlando North on all the social media platforms for more things to do when you come to Central Florida, because we're not just theme parks, you guys. We have a lot of other cool things too. So theme parks are fun, but we have fun things as well. And with that, good night.
If you're looking to learn more about what's going on in Orlando North, Seminole County, make sure you follow us at Do Orlando North.
Tag us on social media at Do Orlando North for a chance to be featured on our page.
The ONSC podcast you just heard reflects the opinions of only the host and guests who are associated persons of Orlando North Seminole County and does not reflect the views of Seminole County government. The ONSC podcast is for informational purposes only. For more information on Orlando North Seminole County, follow us on social media at Do Orlando North or visit our website at www.doorlandonorth.com.